winter on the North Cornish coast, and rough seas pound the shore. At this time of the year, the storms not only threaten man. Young seals, often starving or badly injured, are washed onto the beach. 15 years ago, Ken Jones, who owned a seaside cafe, took a walk here at St Agnes Head, which changed his entire life. He spotted a small grey shape in the sand. It was a seal pup, just like this one, hurt and frightened after being pounded against the rocks. Ken took it home to his house on the cliff top, and today he devotes his entire life caring for injured seals. His seal population increased when people heard that someone would take in these refugees, so he built an extension to his home and turned it into a seal sanctuary. He wrote a best-selling book, Orphans of the Sea, and is now an authority on how to treat this strange, playful animal. Ken, who was once a mining engineer, opened his sanctuary to the public and charged them nothing for a closer look at his seals than they would get in any zoo. Above all, this sanctuary was never a zoo. He and his wife Mary nursed the injured seals back to health, and when their cuts and bruises are healed, the pups are put back in the sea. Over the years, the couple have grown to love the animal, its habits, and the relationship it can form with man.
Well, they're part of my life now. I think they're wonderful creatures. I mean, you hear so much about culling, etc., but also seals must be saved.
What is it about the creature itself that you like?
Well, I think there's everything about them. I mean, a seal's an intelligent animal, which a lot of people don't realise. I think to understand them, you've got to see the pups when they're washed in. See the little babies. We get them a day old, 2 days old, a week old, and see their conditions and how they react after being treated and all this sort of thing. And then when you've kept the seal itself, to see how it attaches itself to you, and, as I say, the intelligence of the animal. Yeah. It is like a dog.
Not all the injured seals could go back to their natural environment. Some were too badly injured for that, either half-blind or incapable of catching food. So they became members of Ken's permanent family. The trouble was that over the years, his family grew and grew, and now it's overcrowded. 4 years ago, Ken realised that this small pool wasn't enough for either the seals or the tourists who came to see them. He sold his cafe and prepared to make a move. The tourist board offered financial help, and the West Cornwall Planning Authority helped him search for a suitable site. The planners chose one of the most beautiful parts of Cornwall for Ken to build a new sanctuary. It was here on the banks of the picturesque Helford River, which has been unspoiled by tourism due to the determination of the mainly wealthy people who live here. The county council chose the site near the village of Gweek. They approved the building plans, and that's exactly when Ken's troubles began. The council didn't sound out local opinion, which is why 4 years later, the sanctuary with its 3 pools is only partially built. Ken's nearly been bankrupt twice, and now he has to work on construction himself to cut down costs. There were long delays over planning permission for every stage of the 40-acre site. Grants were held up, and all because a group of people decided to oppose the sanctuary. They didn't want it here, held protest meetings, complained to the council, even the government, and put up such a fight that on several occasions the entire venture was nearly cancelled. Roger Colby is chairman of the Gweek and Helford River Protection Group, an organisation formed specifically to oppose the sanctuary.
The Helford River has remained free from the trappings of tourism, and we're rather keen that it should stay that way. The particular site is on the banks of the Helford in virgin scrub oak, which is teeming with wildlife, and we fear that not so much the sanctuary will cause damage to the environment, but that the tourism which this will inevitably attract. In fact, it will have to have tourism, or a significant number of tourists, in order to survive. And it's people, really, that are going to do the damage, not the seals, not the seal sanctuary.
What worried Colby's group of 30-odd local householders and landowners was the size of the site, which could be developed for tourism. They feared Ken wanted to turn it into a kind of seal pleasure armour. He insists it will only be a sanctuary for injured seals, with 3 pools for weaning, nursing and 1 for the adult animals. He's also built a seal hospital where visitors can watch the pups being treated. Only now has the last of the planning permissions been granted, the toilets inside the hospital, for only recently has the Department of the Environment rejected the opposition's case. In the meantime, Ken spent his personal money and he's heavily into debt.
Worry-wise, we've had months and months without sleep, off our food, lost a terrific amount of weight. But of course, none of this should have come about in the first place. We applied for planning permission, we got it, we started work, and then the opposition started.
One of the main oppositions is that Gweek just isn't geared up as a suitable place for all the tourists to pile in.
Well, there again, I mean, if it wasn't suitable, then the planning shouldn't have passed it in the first place. Secondly, where in Cornwall is anything geared up suitable for visitors? I mean, the roads, most of the roads in Cornwall are narrow anyway.
Colby's group, who used every means at their disposal to delay the sanctuary, still haven't given up, now that Ken has finally received all the planning consent he needs to complete the site.
You've basically lost the fight in that he's got all his planning application through now. What are you going to do now?
Well, you say we've lost the fight. I wouldn't altogether accept that. Our worst fear, as I said, is slow escalation. We must oppose that. We will oppose every application that seems to us to be going in an undesirable direction in this area, and the Seal Sanctuary is one of those issues that will be opposed.
Ironically, Ken never wanted to build his sanctuary here in the first place, but this was the site chosen by the planning authority. That council is now defunct, but it's blamed by Ken and the opposition group for approving it suitable for a seal sanctuary before sounding out local opinion. Ken also resents the accusation that he's merely building the sanctuary to make money.
Because we're having to make a charge, people call it commercial. Well, for 16 years, we've run this sanctuary voluntary. Nobody's cared a damn where the money's come from or anything else. But all we want is for it to pay for itself. Once it's paid for, whoever takes over from us can run it voluntary.
This summer, the seals will move to their new home at long last, and up to 70,000 people are expected to come and see them. Ken is hoping that relations will improve between him and his new neighbours, and that his seals too will blend into the local scene. For he claims, because of his love for these animals, that they should be on show for everyone.